Okay, John, it says we're live, but we might have some buffering right off the bat, so let's hope people will stick it out and we can make this work. Say hey, John.
Hey guys, glad to be here. Hope you guys are having a good night.
Well, we are so far. It's taken a minute to get going, and I'm just going to kind of talk to you for a few seconds and hang out till we can hopefully get this show rolling. Come on, show. I'm getting a lot of red. A lot of red, a lot of buffering probably. But anyway, if you're in the... I remember to change the latency, so if people are in the chat, I should be able to get a hey from them and a 5-5 or not so much. What is it if it's not a 5-5, John? Is it like a 3-5 or a 2-5?
That's a half of a 5x5.
A half, so a 2.5 out of 5.
2.5.
2.5. We're getting a 2. I'm not getting anything. I did turn off the latency, but that's cool. That's cool.
I'll look on my phone. I'll look on the other one.
Yep, Brenda's here. She's going to tell us if she can hear us or not. We're buffering like mad.
Hey, Brenda. Brenda.
Okay.
What was that?
The piano. Oh, this was working
demon.
earlier. Now it's not. No, it was the piano. Now my screen's not working. Wait, screen, where'd you go? Yeah, now it's not working. Okay.
Dr. T.
This is so frustrating. Why does this happen to me? All right, well, regardless, we're gonna have a good conversation. I'll open a different deal.
This was working
Oh,
earlier,
I can't. You can't do that.
Okay, you're good. I can hear you.
I can hear me on your phone as well.
I think we're good. And Patricia, Susan.
Oh, yay. Welcome, guys. Just give me a minute. I got to open a different browser because it's not... When everything was working, it's not seeing my browsers anymore. Let's just...
Dr. T, thank you. Dr. T.
Yes, that's Brenda. Okay, let's remove this and try
Oh, that's
again.
Brenda?
Yeah. So I don't know what Dr. T-pose means, and I don't know if she knows what Dr. T-pose means, but that's like her son's gamer name or something. So,
Oh, I thought the T was silence. I thought it was like Dr. So.
So I cannot get this screen to share. So this is very frustrating.
No, take your time and
Everything was working before we started.
How about them?
Go ahead.
How about them Chicago Bears? Hell of a team. Heck of a team.
Are the Bears playing today?
I don't know. It's from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Remember when he's like, "Where's your hand between two pillows? Those aren't pillows." You remember that?
No, I never watched it.
Steve Martin and John Candy. You never watched Steve Martin and John?
I never did.
Wow.
Okay, let's see if
You're
this will
missing
work.
out.
Let's see if I can make this work. I sure can't. Oh my gosh, nothing is working. Oh, here we go, finally.
Del Griffith was John.
Del Griffith was what?
It was his John Candy, God rest his soul. That was his character. And he was trying to get home for Thanksgiving, Steve Martin. And it's just a lot of hijinks and wacky antics along the way.
Oh, my Lord. Okay, well, you know what? I guess we'll just look at nothing. I don't know what everybody's going to look at. I can't get this to work. It's been working fine. All day. But now it's not. So...
The whole screen share?
Yeah. It's not working anymore. Well, why don't you
I see Aaron Moffat for...
Yeah, but I can't scroll with that. All it is like a screenshot.
Oh.
It's not, I can't do anything.
Word.
With it.
NPC's in the house. What's up, buddy?
Welcome.
Me lord NPC, me lord.
Me lord and me lady. All right. Well, this has been
Who
fun.
is that lady on your icon? I've always wanted to ask you. Who is
I
that?
don't
Is
know.
that me lady?
I don't know
It's
who
me
it
lady?
is. All right. Well, I can't do the
Oh,
raffle for now.
okay.
We'll just have to do this later. The raffle's just gonna have to wait. Anyway, I do have the Aztec calendar filled, and I only have 2 spots left on the Don't Tread on Me. There's only 2 spots left, so that's it. They're $8 a spot. There's 2 left, so I maybe fill that up before the night over, and we will. I'll just raffle them both later. We are on earlier than usual, which maybe that's just the whole problem. So you guys can just stare at this DNA binary zeros and ones thing, and then we're just going to move on. So what John and I are going to talk about now that we finally discovered that just things aren't going to work the way we want them, which is fine. We're going to talk about a new discovery that we've been John may have known, but I'm discovering about what's called monoatomic like gold monoatomic elements. And if you already
Gold.
yeah, and there's more elements than just gold, but this is going to be gold is going to be the main one we're going to talk about. And if you already know, Susan will take the last 2. Got it. So if you already know about it, that's great for you. I didn't know about it, so I'm going to share what we're learning. We're going to share what we're learning, and specifically to start with, I'm going to tell you guys that it was discovered by this David Hudson guy who's a farmer. And the interesting thing about David Hudson is that he just found this stuff naturally on his farm. So apparently in some weird state and time of this earth, it can happen naturally, but I don't know how, other than the fact that it happened on his farm one day. And what happened is he came out and saw his crops, and they had something on them he had never seen. And from the image that I have seen that I can't pull up for anybody to show, you can do your own search on it later. And what I've seen is it looks kind of like a milky, but substance on his plants. And so he decided to start looking into what this is, and what it is it's a different form of naturally occurring gold. It's called monoatomic, which it means one atom, and it's in such a state that it makes it anything like this. Just so helium's already like this, I guess, and hydrogen's already like this thing, and these things float. And anyway, I'll get into that later. But basically, when you get this monoatomic gold, it's lighter. And if you, as soon as any light comes on it or heat, it appears to disappear. But as soon as you cool it again, it shows back up. Now, it's become the wave of the New Age movement for people to sell this, if it is in fact what they're actually selling. And I don't know how they make it. I don't think it's easy to make. And you're in my opinion, kind of talking alchemy. And so I pulled up several articles. I'm not gonna be able to show you guys, but they're in my
Right.
Yeah, they're in my Discord. But go ahead and say something about what you knew about this, if anything, before we started looking at it, John.
Well, you turned me on to this whole double strand. We've talked a lot about the souping up of the human genome via DNA, but I never looked into this gold thing until just recently because of your videos. And what I discovered was it's already a thing, this polyvalent DNA gold nanoparticles. They're very searchable on the internet. You have 3D reconstructions of double-strand DNA and gold nanoparticles. And apparently, from the Science magazine, there's a gold DNA nano sunflower that is efficient gene silencing and controllable. So they're making gold DNA nano sunflowers. That's always fun. And I guess if you work from plant life up to human life, that looks like where we're going with this. I mean, cancer DNA binds to gold. That could lead to new cancer blood tests. Live Science, 2018.
So the stream is cutting in and out because I have bad internet. I can't get things to work very well, so I've just been praying, guys, and I'm sorry. I thank you for trying to help out by letting me know, but I can't really do much at this point about it. I also had an interesting article pulled up that it says that there's bacteria that produce gold by digesting toxic metals. And this article came out in 2018 about bacteria can produce gold by digesting toxic metals in our body, apparently. So we normally have some element of gold and other elements. When I say elements, some amount of gold and other elements in our body. Maybe we have not the heavy metals, but maybe we have what's the light metals, which is the monoatomic. Some people tend to believe that we definitely do have it throughout our body and normal. When we're normally eating like good food that's healthy for us, but some people think that we got to have that, we're not getting it, and so they're trying to sell it. But one of the concerns I have, like you mentioned, is that it actually enhances DNA conductivity 10,000 times, according to the studies that have been done on it. And so that's when I started thinking, whoa, this might be connected to that third strand DNA, John.
Yeah, and I think I sent you a bunch of articles, and I don't know how many you got to look at, but it was the thought we had before, how they say the human brain, we only use, I think the number is something like 10% of our brain matter that we use. So in that line of thinking, when you say it's how many times more conductive and that we are electric beings, light beings, that it's like throwing on the switch to use either more of your brain or all of your brain. And, welcome to the new world, I guess, because I feel like they're going to use this. I'm no scientist, but it looks like my children used to have science class, like we all did, science. Well, they've changed the name in their school, which is it's a private school, and now it's stem cell class. And we all know that words matter, and there's an agenda behind this, like anything else. So is this stem cell regeneration going to lead into this gold layering of our DNA and the manipulation of the human being to in the name of curing cancer or a new vaccine? You follow me?
Yes, so that's exactly where I've kind of been going with it, but I wasn't sure about why gold. Like, I mean, I know gold is a good conductor, but I wasn't totally sure, because I know silver is a good conductor too. But anyway, if it's this monoatomic gold that's 10,000 times faster, and you're right. So what they say about us is they call people, well, I've heard Zen Garcia call angels, and what we were meant to be in the garden is light beings. And I started thinking, well, that's really interesting, because I was going to bring up gravity, and if you look at the electronic flood theory, that means that basically everything is electrons, but even protons are just made out of certain electrons, and neutrinos are certain amounts of electrons, isotopes are certain amounts of electrons. And so the electrons are pulled to the earth. That's why you see electricity, go to the earth. That's why you see lightning be pulled to the earth. And so because they're being pulled to the earth, we are pulled to the earth, right, because we're made out of electrons. And so there's no gravity other than the electron force, and the sun sends electrons that makes heat. And so okay, so if we're a certain weight, and these are lighter particles and lighter elements, this is why I think they think we can become light beings with it again, instead of just accepting the way Jesus has agreed to come back and do it for us. What do you think?
Well, it sparked kind of a revelation, if you will, when you say that about Zen Garcia and these hidden knowledges, such as the Dead Sea Scroll, or what some people would call occult or hidden knowledge. And with the Dead Sea Scrolls were found in the Qumran caves. And what I found interesting in speaking about metal is the copper scroll, which is labeled 3Q15. It's the one that is made of copper. I forget the ratio, but I remember it's 1% tin and copper and maybe a few other metals. Now that, to me, is pertinent because we're talking about gold, and we all have heard the legends and lore of the Anunnaki or the fallen angels coming to the earth and making us workers out of clay in their image, or the giants, and they mine the earth for gold. And I also sent you an article that says NASA's ready to mine the moon for minerals in 2025. So, it's like a slow rollout. Gold has been very important, apparently, since time immemorial. And just as another side note, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Qumran cave was initially built to hide gold, and they just ended up hiding the Dead Sea Scrolls there. Now, I guess you could say that's a coincidence, but if they held these scrolls in such esteem as they held gold, it must be awful important to somebody, and apparently, obviously, it is.
Yes. Well, and somebody else mentioned the levitation, and that's another thing that they noticed is when they were messing around with this, when they were messing around with the monatomic elements, things were being noticed as levitating. So yeah, it's got some kind of ability that is pulling us away. And then I think it was NPC said it in the Discord that it made him think of Satan falling from heaven and changing Satan's polarity because he fell as lightning. It explains that again, the polarity. And so he's no longer a light being floating. Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes me think of how Obama's name is translated into the Bible. Something about lightning crashing the sky in relation to the Antichrist. So gold and electricity are biblically tied as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm just, talking out loud here. It seems like lightning, sulfur, these fire, brimstone, and conductivity of gold, and in the thoughts of putting it into the human DNA strand, like a CRISPR baby or some kind of super boost or whatever this thing is that relates to stem cell regeneration. I think it all leads to that stairway to heaven and living forever and becoming as gods, and the whole Geordie Rose thing again.
Yes. And I will agree with that 100% because we were reading something. I said, unfortunately, I'm not finding any good reason that this is something from God for us to use right now. I'm not saying there isn't a way or a form, but I don't think it's this monoatomic that has to be created. The monoatomic is not something that we're finding naturally, even people are trying. And what we saw was some of the weird things that people were saying. Let me pull up these quotes that I showed you. I think I took screenshots. Let me pull them up real quick. But basically, that's exactly what it sounded like. It sounded like they're just trying to become. Let's see. No, that's not it. Yeah, okay. Reportedly, these monatomic elements could act as superconductors on the DNA of the cell, having both profound health benefits as well as spiritual shifts in consciousness. Now, you guys, if you don't know what superconductors are, that means they don't have to be plugged into each other or connected in any kind of physical way to work together and to know what the other is doing. And so to me, I'm thinking they're gonna, not me, I hope, do not comply. But if you go with this third strand DNA, this hybrid transhumanism thing, whether it's a promise for cures for all your ailments or cancer or superpowers or all of it, right? He's going to put it all under one thing and say, here you go. One of these things has to apply to you. Well, now don't you see that it basically creates the literal hive mind because you're all superconductors and it elevates your vibration. This is the way they talk about it. Absolutely. Like somebody said, we're living batteries and energy, but yet this will connect us all as the perfect controllable hive mind, if that's what I believe.
Yeah, and that I think we're on the precipice of some major breakthroughs, because if you look back at the slow rollout and how we've all been guinea pigs over the years, and you think about vaccines and their relation to autism, and you hear about the high levels of mercury that are in these vaccines and these dangerous metals they've slowly been testing. And then I look at things like, now there's a thing called Vetera Gold XP horse vaccine. They're trying this on horses. And what Vetera Gold vaccine is, a vaccination for healthy horses 4 months of age or older as the aid to prevent disease. And more succinctly, what it does is it cures arthritis, influenza, tetanus, viremia, whatever that is, and West Nile virus in horses. Now it's been successful in this Vetera Gold vaccine is already in effect in horses. And we know they test on animals first, and the next step is humans. Right. So mercury, and it's just gone back. I don't know how many years we've been hearing about this and what it's done. And I don't know. Maybe this will cause some sickness, but I think there's a bigger agenda behind it, just like everything they do.
Yeah, of course. And it's again, I think a control issue.
It will come in the name as a savior, and it's going to probably cure some kind of cancer, something, and everybody's going to want it. And then we're all going to be connected like in a super matrix via gold and DNA. I don't know. I'm just saying, I see what's coming down the pike.
Well, what's interesting is you could take that stance of, okay, we're supposed to have this, but we're not supposed to have it, because we would have never had cancer and all these autoimmune diseases if it wasn't for demonic diseases that were created by humans, guys. So we wouldn't actually need it. We don't need monoatomic gold. It's something that okay, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, that's what is it? Somebody's dropped it in my chat, the Hegelian dialect, or what's it called? You provide the problem and then you provide the solution. You give us these diseases with patented somewhere in a Rothschild bank or a safe somewhere. And then they say, hey, this is killing everybody. Here's the solution. All you got to do is take this double strand gold DNA and you're all good, baby. You see where I'm going with that, right?
Right. So if it was something that we needed, cancer would have been naturally occurring. Autoimmune diseases would have been naturally occurring. Right. All these things that are happening more and more and more and more, were not happening before. We know that it's being put on us. I truly believe that cancer could have been a mistake, could have been on purpose. But I think because it can't die, because the cells can regenerate for eternity as long as the host is alive, I feel like it was a mistake on part of their attempts to become eternal. But the other thing about the levitation is that also speaks to what they were doing with the UFOs in Nazi time, possibly.
Well, yeah, and to back up the point you just made, as it could have been a mistake. Well, let's think about that. We all know that cigarettes cause nicotine, and they're the number one selling. Tobacco is the biggest market in the world, and we know it causes cancer. And if they really wanted to stop cancer, they would figure out a way to not put these chemicals in these cigarettes that are known to cause cancer. But heaven forbid, Philip Morris takes a hit in the wallet to save people on Earth. You know what I mean? So maybe it was an accident, but they shouldn't do too much to stop the problem that they caused, because
they didn't want to
as far as I know, you get cigarettes.
No, they didn't want to stop it. Go ahead.
Right. No, that's my point. They don't want to stop it. They created it, and I'm just saying hypothetically, say, oops, we made a mistake, we're giving people cancer. Well, the logical thinking would be, let's take this away. If we're the, daddies of the world, the rulers or the people that are running the show, let's fix the problem and take out the formaldehyde or whatever the heck's in these cigarettes that's causing us to get cancer. But they're like, no, it's like, what do they call it? The revelation of the method. They put it on the box. So we told you, but you're going to do it anyway. People are going to do what they're going to do, and let's just make, tons of cash on top.
Yeah, so I think I understand why I could be wrong. Like, I could be wrong that it was on accident. The only reason I say it's on accident is they found a way to make something live forever, even though it kills its host. That would be the accident part, was that it would kill its host. I think it was maybe one of the first beginnings of the trying to infiltrate our DNA, but instead it killed the host, which they said, well, we can put this to good use and unleash it on the masses, right? So whatever, we can still use it for what, but they found something that if it didn't kill the host, could live on forever. The cells can replicate forever and ever and ever. The telomeres never shorten like they do in our bodies. That's what they're looking for, is something to make them their own telomeres not shorten. So if they made cancer on purpose, why aren't they living forever yet?
Right. And by that thinking, something that kills its host, whether it's black goo or it's double-stranded DNA or just a straight-up serpent seed, it looks like to me, if you look at it down the line, they give us cell phones, and then we get a bionic arm, and then we get a Bluetooth heart, and then you get a fake kidney, and then you get gold DNA. How long before you're more android than human, and we just don't even remember what God or heaven is because we are so dependent on technology and what the next update is for our bodies to be stronger and, forget about spirituality. We just want to live forever now. Now we're Terminators and Skynet. And how long before the android inside us says, we don't even need this last bit of human? You know what I mean?
Exactly what Satan wants, and that's exactly how you'll be kept from getting into heaven, was to fully corrupt the DNA just enough that we can never get in.
Right. Well, I think we've said it on other podcasts that they're just trying to cut off access from our Lord and the afterlife and keep us here locked in some kind of moon matrix, but Skynet. I don't know what you would call it, but it just looks like the steps. It's a slow and steady Albert Pike kind of thing where they engineer this decades in advance. And if they're just telling us about gold DNA right now, you can darn sure believe that these elites, and you can look at Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson on their podcast, talk about this breakthrough stem research they're doing at the Mayo Clinic. It's where my dad went. He's got a Bluetooth heart right now, like Dick Cheney. And it scares me to death. But I love my dad, and I want him to stay forever. So I feel like kind of a hypocrite talking bad about technology when it's actually prolonging my dad's life for my kids on Earth. But there has to be a point where we say, we're too much android. I don't know.
Right. And I would say there's pros and cons, right? You just got to pay attention. We're using a computer now. We're using our phones now. I have tablets. We're all using things that hopefully are helping us live longer. Hopefully they're not. So in some ways it is, and in some ways it isn't. People are getting cancer left and right. What I'm saying is, I don't know. I think JP is trying to say I'm naive or something, and I'm not sure if that's what JP is saying. So if you're saying that, JP, just go ahead and no more comments. But if you're not saying that, my apologies. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, we got to use some of these things because they're around us. I mean, it's really hard not to use them at all. It's really hard. And if you can get something that helps you survive because it had something technologically advanced, I'm not sure that is going to be a mark of the beast, right? Because you become deceived when you accept the mark. Like, there'll be a great deception, and you just won't, like you said, you won't even care about religion or any of that anymore. So I think that time has not yet come, but of course that's where we're well on the way to.
Right. And if I'm playing the guy, I forget his name, was the old radio guy that says, if I was Satan, I would do this. Now, if I was Satan, I wouldn't come out with this awesome technology right off the bat and say, hey, everybody, look. What I would do is slow drip, little by little. I would give you a vaccine, and then I would cure disease for children, and I would play on your heart and say, why wouldn't you want? Why wouldn't? This is going to save people. He's the great deceiver. And then it's going to come in the name of saving. He's not going to come in the name of destruction. It's going to come in, I'm here to help you guys.
Exactly.
So it's a slippery slope like anything else. I feel. It's just an opinion. It's an opinion.
Which is why we do this channel, so we can warn each other and not tell each other we're naive or stupid or call each other anything like that. But, yeah, JP keeps saying what I've already said. Cool. Yep, I already said that. So what we're doing is trying to prepare ourselves for not taking that final step. That would be the thing that you shouldn't do. Do not comply. Don't, stop taking vaccines, guys. Just stop. Just don't get any more vaccines. And if they come to you, and even if you have a loved one that's dying.
What's up, JP?
Even if you have a loved one that's dying from cancer, or you are, again, if they say we've got a vaccine for you and it's going to alter your DNA, because they got to tell you, you got to agree to it, right? So it's going to alter your DNA, but you're going to get cured of cancer, and you're going to never get it again. How many people, or your loved one, it will be hard to say no, but we've got to say no to that.
Well, I agree with that. For me, I I I look forward to the day that it's not like I pray for death, but I don't fear death. I feel like if you get to a good spot in life, we're all going to die, and this thing that we're trying to prolong our life forever. Now you're getting into my maternal instincts. If my child was going to, it had gotten sick, and there was something I could do to save them. Now comes the moral dilemma. Now, everybody has to make that decision for themselves. Force this on you via vaccine and not give you a choice, I feel is demonic in nature. That we should all have a choice. And this vaccine thing, it's so. You want to help your kids when they get older. You don't want them to have measles. You don't want them to have mumps or polio, but at the same time, you don't want to have autism either. So what do? I think we're all in that place.
Well, okay, but you have to look at what I listened to somebody talk about specifically is you have to look at the level of the disease and is it that bad and is it something you can probably live through? You and I are going to live through the influenza most likely.
Right.
So
right.
Probably so will my kids too, because I'm being in the medical field, I'm going to be really overly zealously watching their symptoms. But again, that's like you said, it strikes a chord. But again, are you going to chance your child's eternity with the Lord Jesus because you want him to live longer on earth with you here?
Right. And here's the thing, Aaron. I just took the panda, little Francie, to the doctor, my mom, and she had a sore throat. And it's an after-hours clinic, and we got to talking to the doctors, and we're like, I don't really even have a family doctor anymore. We have these emergency clinics that are very convenient, or we go to the emergency room at the hospital. It seems to me that the family doctor is being phased out, and now it's a mass production of, hey, you could get your vaccines at Rite Aid now for free. And you can get everything you need at the drugstore. Take a family doctor out of it that gets to know you personally and know you individually and what care you need. And let's just go to McDonald's drive-through Rite Aid that's got the cure-all for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And robots in surgery, they're replacing now. Right now, a human still has to run the robot, but eventually with AI, they won't.
Right. And then you think of like Patch Adams and Robin Williams, that movie where he was a funny doctor. He could relate to the patients. He could make the kids laugh. He could, for better or for worse, he was a personable doctor, was the premise of Patch Adams, the movie. I loved Robin Williams. I don't know what happened to him. God rest his soul. I hope he's at peace. But my point is, androids can't do that. They're never going to have human compassion. They're never going to be able to weigh things like a human can. I don't care how smart and how fast they can think. They're going to think of the shortest road to solve the problem as a machine would. And sooner or later, that's going to be just get rid of people because we're the machine. Welcome to the machine. You know what I mean? The ghost in the machine will take over eventually. And I don't know that we'll ever see that day, but our kids are definitely going to see that day.
Yeah, probably. And that's why we got to teach them well, because if you watch Black Mirror, interestingly enough, there's one episode on there about where they have the chip behind their ear. It's a chip where they can record everything. They can record fight their loved one. They record everything that happened that day so that if you're going on a flight, they look and see if you've been like some kind of creep before you're going for a flight, and they'll go through your little memory thing. They'll access your chip. And then if you ever do anything that you've deleted that looks bad when you're trying to get a job, you're like, oh, any big deletes, blah blah blah. And
well, that's called
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that's called Siri and Alexa, isn't it?
No, this is more. It was a chip that they have inside their ear so that it records everything, and then they can replay it in front of in their own eyes, like they can actually watch it.
Yeah, I know. I'm being funny. I'm just saying. I mean, I walk into my parents' room sometimes, to help them out, and that Siri's talking to me, and I know it's recording everything I'm doing. So I was being facetious.
Yeah, well, our phones have been doing that for years now. So
Right, right.
anyway, the this yeah, so it is becoming like that. What's the Amazon one you said? Alexa, yeah. So because you can put that in your car and on your phone and it, everywhere. Now you've got the Alexa thing in your house. That's what they're trying to do with the smart homes. And but anyway, what they did with this chip is in the TV series on that particular one, this gal, she doesn't have one, and everybody kind of acts like she's ew, like how could you possibly not have one of these? We all have this. And so she's like, well, I don't want it. And then later, when that girl who doesn't have the chip behind her ear calls 911 to help, and they said, okay, can you send us the recording of what just happened, like via her chip? And she goes, no, I don't have a chip, and up on her. So it's showing you like the social credit score where you won't be able to travel, you won't be able to buy and sell. Because somebody argued with me recently, they're like, no, it's not going to be DNA because you just got to, it's how you're going to buy and sell. And I'm like, it's going to have that effect too, how you transport, how you buy and sell. If even when people they're not going to help you, even the police aren't going to help you. If you can't show them a recording, you're not going to get a job. If you've been deleting a bunch of stuff from your deal, everybody's going to want to look at it. I mean, it's insane to me.
Well, that I didn't see the episode, but in your words describing it, sounds like straight up Mark of the Beast. Like one person held out and didn't want it, and they were shut down in life. And it's like an allegory or a analogy for the Mark of the Beast. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
Well, with that chip I was just mentioning.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The chip I just was talking about, or did you is that what you were speaking on?
No, the movie you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. That's the chip. They called it like a rice. They even called it like a rice chip or whatever, and they had it behind their ear. Yeah, it's Black Mirror, the TV show Black Mirror. I mean, you've heard of Black Mirror, right?
Okay, I've never got into. I watched Stranger Things. I watched Punisher on Netflix, and I watched all documentaries. But I didn't get into that one or the Marvel things. I'll watch.
Well, Black Mirror is a sure indication of what they want in the future. Absolutely.
Actually, I did watch it one episode. Now that you say that, and what it reminded me was of. When we talk about predictive programming and a glimpse into the future, I think Black Mirror is kind of a takeoff of Twilight Zone and or Night Gallery, the older creepy movies. You remember? I'm sure you remember Twilight Zone. And,
that's exactly what I said about it.
What would happen?
It was like a terrible. It was like a terrible New Age Twilight Zone.
Yeah, new Rod Sterling. I mean, I liked the Twilight Zone. It was just creepy AF, you know what I mean? But it also made you think, because if you go back and watch the old Rod Sterling episodes, they are very relevant in the times today. They kind of let you know what's going to happen as far as dolls coming to life, and it's creepy.
Well. But what I keep telling people, well, I did an Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I said it's not invasion. Oh God, I can't talk. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It won't be scary when it actually happens. These movies, I think they make it scary so that you're like, oh, I'm so glad that will never actually happen. But then when it starts to slowly happen, it's not scary.
Right.
It's not like aliens coming from space and laying pods and cloning your body right next to you after you die. And you having to watch that happen overnight. It's going to be this slow trickle, so that that's scary. I'm glad it's not happening to me, but then it really is happening to us.
Right, exactly. Think of movies like Geostorm, where impending doom comes and people freeze when they're walking, and these Arctic storms come, and people freeze in mid footstep. But at the end of the day, Bill Pullman or whoever the guy, Bruce Willis, saves the day. And then you think about, I don't know, the Terminator, where John Connor comes in and thwarts, at the end of the movie, everything works out. But then you get to movies like Life, where they're getting more into turning that the ending isn't so much of what you thought. You know what I mean? The alien finally makes it to Earth. So I think there's slow rollout saying, hey, guys, You know, we're telling you what's going to happen, but I don't know if the Superman's going to come save the day this time.
What did you have? You sent me some stuff about Anunnaki, and give me an education on the Anunnaki, please, because I will honestly say this is something I haven't yet looked at, and I want us to talk a little bit about that because we had pulled it up to talk about.
There's several different schools of thought on this now. One guy I listened to is Crow 777, as it relates to the moon and archons and these giant spider-like things at the beginning of time, and then you hear about Nibiru and how it comes around. It's on an elliptical solar system that swings way out with our twin binary sun. And this is the thinking, that it's a solar system with Farada, and it has its own planets, series of different planets, along with a black hole sun, our binary twin, and it comes around, I forget, something like 3,000 years or somewhere in the area, and when it comes, that's where the Anunnaki live, the fallen, the ones that populated Earth, mined us for gold because of the superconductivity that you spoke about earlier. Something about that they needed in their atmosphere and or on their planet. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But
okay, well,
the thought is that these are the original fallen.
Okay. Yeah, but they're not on another planet. They're here. They're in our planet.
Or they've populated the Earth, but the fathers of the giants that we talk about in the Dead Sea Scrolls, we talk about the ones that Moses saw in the 12 spies. Those are the sons of the Anunnaki, the giants, the ones that mated with the women of Earth, in theory.
But they're not aliens, they're demons.
The Anunnaki...
Fallen angels.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm just clarifying for our people.
Yes.
I already know you and I talk about it. But anyway, go ahead.
I mean, that's my interpretation. I mean, that's where I see them. I don't see them as any kind of, I don't know, maybe they're calling them Lovecraftians now, or I don't know, they're giving them a different label, so we'll accept the D-Wave and we'll invite the, because they might be coming back. I mean, they're digging tunnels and they're stocking food, and I don't know, it's enough to melt your brain. But the thinking is, I don't know about the giant spiders on the backside of the moon, but I believe that certain Saturn, or you call them Satanists or Saturnist occultists, that we talk about as the serpent seed, these people that worship the devil, believe that when they come back, they're going to take over and rule. And I believe that is, entangled with the Antichrist, that these are what these people worship. And I don't know where blood plays into it, or if it's just a honor to them, a sacrifice to do this, to harm humans, because they were originally here mating with women, destroying the human race when God brought the flood, and the purge. And he had had enough. And then I believe they rose up again in Atlantis, and God said, I'm not having it. And now they're rising up again in CERN, is the way I see it.
Yes.
And or gold DNA. I don't know.
Well, okay. Yeah, my mind changes like every other day on this sometimes, because I know that they are trying to do, what they're doing with CERN is they're accelerating electrons, and the acceleration of electrons, they believe probably that will open a portal. I don't know how well it's working. It must not be working super great, because we just haven't been flooded with Lovecraftian demons yet.
Well, yeah. Well, yet, because you look at the shift in modern, you think about QAnon and Donald Trump as president. These people hate that. They hate people like us, spiritual people that question the mainstream media, Hollywood, medicine, that don't want to vaccinate our kids. We are the outsiders. So when you say they're trying to speed it up, they see us rising up. They see, for lack of a better term, MAGA people or QAnon supporters or just patriots around the world, and they're trying to speed up this process because they need supernatural demons to take over.
Well,
they need Satan. We don't.
Well, that's because Satan knows he only has so much time, because even though the Lord, he wants us to have as much time as possible, he can't give us forever, and it won't matter anyway, because it's only getting worse, not better. But when I said accelerated, I mean they're accelerating electrons physically. They're physically causing this acceleration.
Well, yes.
The boson Higgs thing. I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Particle accelerator, right?
Bring up this thing about the moon. Go ahead. Finish your thought first.
No. I was just saying that I think I was taking it two different ways. They're using CERN to accelerate the process of their ultimate goal because they do know they're running out of time. And if I could picture your God sitting up there looking down at us, saying, "Okay, we gave them free will. Now let's see what they're going to do with it before I shut this whole thing down again."
Okay, so bring up this moon mining thing because this is really funny and interesting to me. This moon mining article.
Okay, again, this is something I heard from Crow Triples and a lot of different people. There's a Russian physicist that I follow, real smart guy. I can't remember his name. It's in a Crow 777 video. It's hard to pronounce. Oh, I can't even think of it right now. It'll come to me. But the theory is there is. I think there's a lot of disinfo. They say there's gold on the moon and pyramids, but I think the cash crop is the new energy, which is helium-3. It's the thing. It's I believe they're mining it right now. I believe they're up there mining it right now, and what we see is not actually, call it a hologram. I don't know, but people have caught activity on the moon, strange things. I don't claim to have any hardcore facts, but something's going on up there. And NASA has an article that says they're ready to start mining the moon in 2025. And so if we look to stand to reason that NASA has lied to us for so long, if they're telling us they're going to the moon in 2025, you could bet your bottom dollar that they've been there for about a decade. You know what I mean? Like Black Ops, or call it what you want. Oh yeah, if they're saying that they're going to mine the moon in 2025, in theory, I gotta believe they're not giving us news hot off the press. It has been tested, and there's some kind of new energy up there that the elite are going to get first, possibly, and the rest of us will get the trickle down effect, like oil and gas, and they'll manipulate that just like they've done every natural resource we have. I mean. It's just a thought. I read the article and I'm thinking to myself, well, we're mining the moon now, apparently. I don't know,
So here's what I want to say about it, because we're not mining the moon and we haven't been to the moon. In my opinion, it could be 100% wrong, but it's interesting that they're saying they're going to mine isotopes.
Right.
And water and oxygen and other metals that aren't gold, right, or silver. So they need this nuclear-free energy, supposedly. Well, one thing that I've heard is when it comes to the electronic universe is that space is so dense that they can't get through it because it's tons and tons of electrons, like tons and tons and tons of them are outside of this firmament, or are the firmament, or whatever, and so it's so dense and thick that's what they can't actually get through. They can't get to these other things and see what they really are. So really what they're probably saying they're trying to pull down is anything from the all of that plasma up there. It is because plasma is particles in chaos. There's no structure anymore. They're in turmoil, and that's what too many electrons are kind of doing. And I don't have all the knowledge on this, which is why we come here. We don't always have all the knowledge on these things. We come here and we talk about these things and try to learn from each other, not to call each other naive. And so anyway, with that plasma or whatever, that I think they're trying to harness that for some reason. But the problem is that I think the Earth has too many electrons, and that's why we're seeing sprites and things being shot back up out there. But I don't know for sure. I'm still studying it. I'm not sure.
Right, and I'm with you. I mean, I say this because these are articles that I've read, and there's so much information on we've never been to the moon, and we have been to the moon. I don't claim to know, but what I do know is this. If we can escape this firmament or whatever it is up there, if it is possible, you think of Donald Trump and the Space Force, this new military Space Force. Now, that's there for a reason. And let's just think about corporations. And, the handful of people that run the world. Who gets to determine the sole proprietorship of space plasma or the moon? Where is the treaties, the galactical treaty, or I don't know, like, is it just the rich who can, is it the guy from the Virgin Company who's got rockets? Is it Elon Musk? Does he get to go and say, shotgun, I got the moon, I get all the energy? You know, that's what I'm looking at it from a business point of view. Like, if there are resources up there, who gets to claim that? Because there are no, like, flags planted in there, as far as I know, unless Neil Armstrong really did put one up there. But, yeah, who knows at this point?
Yep. So, all right. Well, we got 9 minutes. Did we not cover? Is there anything we did not cover that we wanted to talk about? I mean, there's a lot to it, but don't want to go too long.
No, I think we kicked the can around a little bit, you know.
So that was good what you said about the horse vaccine. I had not heard that, and I pulled that up, and I even put it in the comments. And I'm going to put out, if anyone is interested, a Discord link where we pull a lot of information together. Some of us do, and some people really help out in there, and it's fun for us. We can also talk about it if you want to chat. It's not a voice channel, it's not a video channel, it's just a texting, typing deal. But there's different sections on my channel where you can either read the articles we talk about, or you can or just add to it, bring some in, because that's great about the horse vaccine. Wow, that's just good information to add to exactly what we were talking about. So glad you brought that up.
Right. My pleasure.
All right, well, I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to go ahead and let everybody get on to their evening or morning, if you're Brooke Federline in she's probably afternoon now, New Zealand. And we'll pray.
Brooke in here?
Yeah, we'll pray over these electronics and over, just our understanding and our knowledge that we're trying to get in this vast amount of information, because I guarantee you that we're trying to get the information and our brains can only do so much. So please have grace and patience.
Right. It's like overload at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a lot to take in.
And to make the connections, sometimes we're making connections that people won't agree with. Doesn't mean we're wrong. Doesn't mean we're right. So we just got to get there we just got to do it the way God shows us and pray to God for the truth. So I'm going to do that right now. That works for you, Mr. John Revelator?
I'd be mad if you didn't.
Okay. All right, dear Lord Jesus, you are bringing us knowledge. Thank you for that. We continue to pray for growing discernment, wisdom, and truth from you, and that even when we get it wrong, we'll get the right direction somehow just by making the connections that we're making. And it's okay to disagree. It's okay to not have a full understanding sometimes and still be working on that. We aren't all also on the same path of study. Sometimes I'm on one place and you guys are in another. So I pray that as we learn this together, it's not overwhelming to anybody. I pray the full armor of God. I pray over these electronics, God, that if there's anything looking at us traveling through this that is not from you, Jesus, that it would be cast out in your name, Jesus, and sent to the pit by your blood, Jesus. We pray protection always around our homes, our children, our families, and all the listeners, that if we said anything that's absolutely misleading or wrong or not what you wanted them to hear, Lord Jesus, it would be just struck from their memories and without offense. So let us all move on without offense, and we love you, Jesus, and we pray in your name. Amen. And Epstein didn't kill himself.
Amen. Who?
Epstein didn't kill himself. And neither did any of these people that supposedly killed themselves.
Shout at the devil.
Yeah, none of these people. Somebody mentioned Epstein didn't kill himself. Seth Rich didn't kill himself. Gary Webb didn't kill himself. Bill Cooper didn't kill himself. All these people didn't. The guy didn't hammer himself in the back of the head. None of these suicides are suicides. So there we go.
If I get clipped, I didn't kill myself either. If they get me, I didn't kill myself either.
Same here, guys. Because somebody tried to accuse me of being suicidal, and I am not. And the police have determined that I am not immediately, because they could tell.
Well, as long as that's clear.
Yep.
As long as that's clear.
It's clear. And Brooke says that she forgot to share her song with me, but she hopes, Revel, that you liked it.
Oh, that was awesome. It was a jazzy kind of hip hop beat, and she had some praise going on over it. Yeah, I think if she wants, I'd love to get a little hashtag going with her and get some gospel, or I don't know,
Yeah, it would be fun to all make music together at some point to figure out how to do that and have fun with
Yeah, heck yeah, heck yeah.
All right, but I can go check Brooke's channel even. So, yep, and Brooke is also not going to commit suicide. It's HRC if it happens to her, just like everybody else, pretty much.
Oh shoot!
Oh, and I will do the raffles tonight, guys. I only got two spots left. No, it's closed. It's closed. They're both closed. I'll figure out what's going on with my software. I'll probably just restart the computer or something, and then we'll make sure I get that done. So thanks, John, for joining me on this Sunday Night Live.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always fun. It's always a good time. It's yes. Thank you.
Yes, and it's not as late as usual, so now you just get to go make dinner and hang out with the kids, and don't got to put them to bed right away.
Might play some music later if I get a hold of Pat. Not sure, but if you're up.
Yeah, well, just let me know, because again, I also don't get notifications a lot, and I have them set for people. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys, and have a peaceful night, and love you all. God bless.
Okay. Bye, guys.